And I want to jump back a little bit to 10 Feet Tall, because this
Yeah,
was before kind of this 11 blocks. And
yeah.
so, how do you look back at that track then? What was it in a similar vein as 11 blocks?
Yeah. It was maybe a little less of a story, more of a mood or something. But I wrote that. It's about the same person. I
Okay.
wrote it like the week that
Okay.
I really was like, oh my gosh, I'm in love for the first time, really.
Okay.
And I went in with this guy called Chris Braid, who has become a dear friend too. He's brilliant. And I think the session was supposed to be with this other artist, and she didn't show up. So he was like, if you want to still write, I was like, yeah, well, that's actually probably better because I want to write this song. I've been knocking around 10 feet tall in my head. And he started playing these chords, and I started singing, and then it was kind of a similar thing, like 11 blocks. I find
Right.
that sometimes that special thing happens where it just all kind of comes together.
And did you know that Afrojack was going to?
I had no idea.
Okay.
That didn't happen until about 2 years after we wrote it, maybe. And so it was so weird to have something. I mean, it was a really special song to me, and I had always kind of been protective over that. But he heard it. I got an email from him that was like, hey, nice to kind of meet you via email, but like, do you mind if I have a go at this song?
Okay.
And I was like freaking out. And it was amazing.
And then with 11 blocks, can you imagine, or can you see that other people might not Afrojack particular, but that people might do a version of it?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's been, I don't know if I've heard any remixes of it. I'm sure they exist out there. I still really enjoy collaborating with like EDM kind of DJs and stuff like that.
Well,
Because it's such a fun thing. And I kind of exist in this little world sitting at a piano, like kind of stripping things away. Every song starts on the piano for me, so it's bare bones. And so it's really cool to be able to collaborate with some people that are like such coming from such a different place.
Well, exactly, because what you do, like you say, is very different. So, and then looking at the current musical climate, do you think those genre lines are blurring and that
Yeah, for
a
sure.
lot more is possible?
It seems like, I mean, even on like top 40, there's so much, like Chainsmokers and Coldplay is a perfect example, I think, of like this like massive. Chris Martin is like the biggest thing in the world. He's so freaking good. He's like a god. But I mean, taking something like, who would have ever thought like Coldplay and like the biggest DJ group would do a song together?
Sure.
Things that don't necessarily make sense kind of make sense at this point. Because I think you can do whatever, as long as it feels good.
So is that the mentality you have going into your debut album now?
Yeah, I think nothing will be too crazy production-wise, but it's a lot of stories, and it's a lot of feelings, and some sad stuff. There's a lot more happy stuff than I thought was going to end up on it, which is surprising.
Why is this surprising?
I don't know, I feel like I always write sad songs.
Okay.
And then I'm going through I'm still writing a little bit, but for the most part it's written. And I'm just going through being like, whoa, there's some like really sweet songs on here. I didn't expect that. Because a lot of them there's a lot more newer stuff too than I thought would end up.
Did you have it, because like you say, you've been writing all these years, so did you have a huge collection that you thought, well, let's look at what I already have?
Yeah, there's been a lot of songs written. I think the oldest song, if this one ends up on there, would be like 9 years old.
Okay.
And then the newest song, if the record came out tomorrow, the newest song would be maybe a month and a half old.
Okay.
So from 9 years old to like a month and a half old.
So it's a big span of your life.
Yeah.
And
weird.
I wrote down a couple of tracks because, well, obviously not everything has been released yet. But Bloodstain is one of them.
Yeah.
So what can you tell me about Bloodstain?
It's actually out in Australia officially right now. It's coming out Friday.
Right.
Bloodstain is, I was actually sent a start of that song from this guy called Ben Abraham. him and this girl, Helen Kroom, started the song. And I felt really insecure because I'd never taken a start or in like an idea before. Because I usually like sitting in my bedroom, like plucking away, coming up with stuff. So I was like, why is somebody sending me this? And then I heard it and I was like crying with like goosebumps all over my body the first time I heard it. It's and then I got to go in with Ben and kind of put my own self into the song. But it's kind of I tried to tell someone it was hopeful the other day, and they were like, "Ugh, I don't know." But it's kind of just about kind of loving and losing and loving again and again and again and again, and kind of coming to terms with, I tend to maybe open up too much and maybe give too much and maybe commit too much too soon. I'm like a stage 5 clinger. But I find that can lead to some amazing things, some beautiful things, but also some like really sad, like where I think this other person is here as much as I am, and it's like they're not. So it's kind of about that. It's kind of about being okay with that and being like, I would rather, if I'm gonna live like this, then I'd rather do that because sometimes it is amazing, rather than kind of being scared and being like, ah.
But as a songwriter, because well, the songs that we've discussed, only the couple of songs that we've discussed so far, they're very self-reflective, and then so is that is it helpful for you going through these emotions? And
yeah, I think so. I think it's been really cathartic and kind of therapeutic even. Like I think, which maybe it seems messed up, but even writing 11 blocks and kind of going out on tour and playing it now all over the world, I guess, has been, and kind of meeting people, strangers, and having them tell me how they relate to it and how much it means to them. It's been very healing to kind of be like, even to get over this person. It's been kind of like, I can write it out of my system to some extent. There's still things that linger, I think, but even that's what the song's about, really. It's like that lingering thing. So it's nice to be able to express that and to feel like it's understood by other people too. Because it makes you feel like less creepy for knowing that you live 11 blocks away from me when somebody else is like, oh, mine lives 4 blocks away. I'm like, oh shit.
Like, you're counting as well, that's good.
Yeah, we're all counting. So, but it's been cool. It's cool to kind of share something and then have a total stranger, even in some country I've never been to, even tweet me and be like, oh dude, I feel that. And I'm like, cool, sweet, me too.
All right, there's one more track I want to talk about, because I came across Honest Man, and, and that you were thinking about calling it, using it as the title track.
Yeah.
So how come?
I think, to me, that song kind of is a nice little container for the subject matter, maybe. I don't know. The tagline of that song is, I'm an honest man with a broken heart.
Right.
And it's kind of, I mean, it's kind of sad, but it just feels kind of like it could be the top of the list kind of thing. And it kind of encompasses everything else. That's all the little stories and all the little kind of snapshots that are on the record.
But like you say, well, I'm an honest man with a broken heart, but like, you say that there's also a lot of positivity on the album.
I know, now it's like, what am I going to do?
but so, is it all often a reflection of kind of the mood that you're in, or the time period you're in?
Yeah, I would say so, definitely. I can also I could write something sad about something happy. Yeah. Even when I try to write a happy song, half the times it's like, ooh, that doesn't sound... sounds like you're not fully there. And it's like, yeah, I know. But I think it just ended up being a lot more balanced of a record than I kind of went in, because I started really digging in to write for it maybe like 4 years ago, something like that. When I was on Island, I was doing a lot of writing, and I was going through like this, I was just in this really sad place and sad relationship, and like coming out of that, it was really hard. And so I was putting that into every song, was so heavy and so loaded. And so it's been kind of a bit refreshing to be out of that and to be writing some things that are a little more hopeful. But I kind of expected going into the record like, oh, this is gonna be really sad. The whole thing's gonna be sad.
Okay.
So now anything that's not completely heartbreaking to me is like, this is happy. And people are like, that's not quite happy. But I'm like, it's not as sad as this song and this song and this song and this song. So it's nice to have something a little more balanced.
Finally then, you've been in the music industry for quite some years, and now finally you get to release your debut album. So how important is this?
I can't believe it. It's like the kind of it's just crazy. Because I've made a record before that never came out, and I've made videos that have never come out. I've written so many songs that have never come out. But
very quickly, why didn't they come out?
All of the weird
just
things
industry.
that can happen. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Which now, even looking back, I'm happy everything's happened how it's happened.
Right.
I think I wouldn't have said that maybe a couple years ago, but looking back, I'm like, everything maybe does happen for a reason. I hate that cliche, but it's like sometimes you can look back on something and be like, oh, I see why that happened.
Right.
But I'm really proud of the body of work, and it's tricky picking what goes on and what doesn't. It's like heartbreaking sometimes to be like, oh, it just doesn't work. But no, this is like the most important thing in my life, really. Like putting the record out was gonna be, I can't believe it, really. It's like, I feel like I put so much into it for so long. So to finally be like, even to put out like 11 Blocks, the first single, felt like, what? Like, it went to radio, and like I ran around on my first tour, and it's all just so bizarre. So I'm kind of trying to I feel like a little kid, like looking around being like, holy shit.
Enjoying the moment.
Yeah.
All right. Stephen, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.